Episode 2 of The Last of Us was a pretty somber affair as we finally stepped out of the QZ. But while the tragedy at the end hit hard, it also left everyone feeling very confused. So let's try to dissect that ending bit by bit, starting with the first clicker. Now, the episode's director and writer Neil Druckmann sets the tone right away, sending us all the way to the origin of the infection in Jakarta. And there we see just how scary the cordyceps can be, as Professor Rotna suggests bombing the entire city. Honestly, it's such a great setup for the episode because right after the intro, we're transported back to a bombed-out modern-day Boston. Here, Joel is contemplating the fact that he just killed a Fedra agent, while Tess tries to convince him to not shoot Ellie. And after some back and forth, they set off on their journey. Now again, the build up to that moment with the first clicker is incredible. You hear vague noises from a distance, but never really see anything substantial. And after some extra lessons about the cordyceps and some fun banter, we see this massive horde of monsters lined up outside the hotel. So to avoid them, our group decides to go the shorter but more dangerous way straight through the museum. And here we get to see our first clicker. I'm gonna be honest, folks, this thing was absolutely disgusting and terrifying. I mean, just look at the gross growth on its head. Though you can't deny that they've done a great job adapting these guys from the games. But of course, after some incredibly intense moments and an insane battle, Joel, Ellie, and Tess manage to escape from the museum and make their way to the Firefly base. The real reveal, however, comes when they reach the base right at the end of the episode. Yep, Tess is infected. Okay, to be fair, the showrunners do a great job of dropping subtle hints of what's to come, and yet, even if you've played the OG game, it's still as shocking, if not more. Like, the gang stumbling upon a bunch of dead fireflies in the state house was bad enough, but Tess showing that bite mark while saying she can't go back got me right in the feels. That being said, while the scenes were super well done and the lead up to the reveal was also fantastic, it still left a lot of people scratching their heads. I mean, a lot of this stuff does happen off screen, so let's answer the biggest question first.
Oops.
When did Tess get bitten? Like, we were with her throughout the whole episode, right? Did it happen at some earlier point off screen or something? Well, no. Eagle-eyed viewers would have noticed during the museum fight that Joel and Ellie were fighting one clicker, while Tess was absent through pretty much the entirety of the fight with the second clicker. And she only comes back into play when Joel and Ellie killed the first clicker, so it's a pretty safe bet to assume that this was when she got bitten. Then again, why weren't her clothes affected by? Well, the easy answer would be that the showrunners probably just didn't want to ruin the surprise by making it way too obvious. Oh, and there's another nice clue. If you notice closely, you can feel the bitterness and anger in her as the group exits the museum and stumbles upon dead fireflies in the state house. Like, sure, she's agitated about the whole thing, but it's also a stark difference from her character before the museum. Speaking of the dead fireflies, though, what happened to them? I mean, they were all just dead in the state house with no one else around. In fact, at one point, Ellie even asks if it was Fedra that killed them. But again, Joel is there to big brain his way through this problem. You see, the minute they set foot outside the building, they know something's wrong. And when Joel inspects the truck, he sees traces of cordyceps around the place. Not to mention, there's a blood trail leading into the state building as well, so it's possible that one of them them, probably the driver, got bit on his way to the base and then started chomping on his comrades. However, unlike normal people, the Fireflies actually kinda know how to fight these things and have weapons on them. Hence, rather than everyone just giving in and turning into another group of infect clickers, it seems like they all just killed each other. But of course, while this stops the infection from spreading, it also throws a wrench in Joel and Tess's plans. And this leads Tess to reveal her bite and make her final request, taking Ellie to Bill and Frank. Now, this whole scene is pretty fascinating for a couple of reasons. One, even Tess's revelation isn't enough to convince Joel at first. And it's only when she pleads, saying she's never asked anything of him before, is when he sort of agrees. Oh, and here's the kicker. She also adds, including not to feel the way I feel, in there. What does that mean? Well, apparently, Joel and Tess were indeed romantically involved with each other. I mean, we see that in the first episode too, with her coming home and cuddling up to him, but at the same time, Joel's past doesn't allow him to fully commit to her. Yeah, that's rough. That said, this whole sequence leads us into the most mind-blowing scene of the series yet, the kiss of death. Okay, this one was easily the most confusing series of events in the show so far. Like, sure, she's gonna blow up the whole building to save Joel and Ellie from this massive horde coming their way, but what's up with the infected dude walking up to her and kissing her with his tendrils? Not to mention, the whole scene is super disturbing as she's trying to ignite her lighter while the infected guy approaches her. Oh, and don't even get me started on the tendrils themselves. The way the tendrils come out of his mouth and go into hers, honestly, it's teetering on the edge of some real body horror stuff. You know, the type you'd see in one of the Aliens movies or some Cronenberg film. Though you've gotta wonder, why does the kiss even happen? I mean, aren't the infected supposed to just bite you? Well, yeah, but again, it's a tool that the showrunners use to create the sense of tension as Tess tries to ignite her lighter. Plus, it's also just subverting expectations, cause literally no one saw that coming. It's shocking, disgusting, and thrilling all at the same time. Also, since the infected are a hive mind, it could just be that the tendrils detected the ones brewing inside her and decided to connect in some twisted way. While all this is happening, Joel and Ellie are outside, watching the building burn and getting ready to see Bill and Frank. Which makes you wonder, who are Bill and Frank? Well, the short answer is that they're quote-unquote business partners who serve as contacts outside the QZ for Joel and Tess. I mean, we already know from the games that they have communicated via radio at some point, so yep, this is the point where the show kicks into full gear and we finally get to Joel and Ellie's cross-country journey. Though of course things aren't gonna be simple for them, we've already seen in the trailers and the teaser for episode 3 that Bill, who's played by Nick Offerman, isn't exactly a very normal guy. So yeah, be prepared for some very unexpected stuff. Alright, that was everything you need to know about The Last of Us Episode 2's ending. See you in the next one.